Integrating the environment into 4th and 5th grade history social science. This video is made possible by the California Department of Education as part of the California Regional Environmental Education Community Project, which provides professional learning and resources to help educators and school administrators successfully promote environmental education and environmental literacy. The video is developed in partnership with the Sacramento and San Joaquin County Offices of Education. Welcome to this brief overview of environmental literacy in grades 4 and 5 and its connections to California's history social science standards and framework. I'm Charlie Gilmore from the Sacramento County Office of Education, and it's my pleasure to share some ideas that will help you gain a better understanding of how environmental literacy is represented in California's HSS framework. In addition, we'll address some considerations regarding integrating instruction on the environment into your history social science curriculum. The 2016 History Social Science Framework asks teachers to integrate California's environmental principles and concepts into their history social science instruction at each grade level. Knowing that one of the most valuable commodities in a classroom is time, SCOE has developed a resource designed to aid teachers in this endeavor. So, how do we integrate instruction about the environment into our history social science lesson? The first step is identifying the points in your grade level standards where it's most relevant and appropriate. The Environmental Literacy Compendium pairs the language of the framework with suggestions for instruction that connect the standards-based content to one or more of California's environmental principles and concepts, also known as the EP&Cs. The EP&Cs exist across the curriculum and provide a natural place to pair instruction in multiple subjects. In addition, where appropriate, the compendium makes connections to the next generation science standards. For example, in 4th grade, we've identified 2 units of instruction where a connection to the EP&Cs can be made. In 5th grade, we've identified 3 units. Let's examine one page within the compendium to get a sense of how it works. On one side is the relevant language from the HSS framework. In this 5th grade example, we have an excerpt from Chapter 8 of the framework. On the other side is a section titled Environmental Literacy Integration. There, you'll find a compelling question designed to engage student curiosity, a short introduction to the concepts of the suggested lesson, and step-by-step instructions for classroom implementation. Beneath the lesson instructions, you will notice which of California's environmental principles and concepts are addressed in the lesson and possible connections to NGSS. So how can we implement a lesson in the classroom? Let's take an example from 5th grade. In the 5th grade, students study how geography and climate influenced pre-Columbian nations in what is today the United States. The framework suggests students examine the ways in which North American Indians adapted to and managed their diverse natural environments and local resources. The compendium builds on the framework by asking the compelling question, how does where we live affect how we live? Students can use descriptions of 8 distinct regions of the continental United States to predict how societies would develop in each. In this lesson, you start by placing your students in small groups and prompting them with the compelling question. Once your students are in groups, you will provide each with a profile of one of the major regions identified in the compendium. Students then work collaboratively to predict the clothing, food, and shelter that would be appropriate for the region's environment. They can also predict tools people in their region would have developed to help them manage local resources. You can consider providing students with visual examples to choose from, such as this wigwam dwelling from the Great Basin region, or the 3 sisters corn, squash, and beans from the Northeast Woodlands. To close the lesson, ask students to present their predictions and explain their thinking before leading a study of each region and providing the correct responses. In teaching this lesson, students explicitly analyze environmental factors to help understand how different indigenous cultures developed. Through collaboratively predicting how the environment would influence people's development of distinct cultural items, such as clothing and food, students can make similar connections to their own culture and the impact the environment plays in shaping what is familiar to them. We hope this video has provided a helpful overview of environmental literacy and social science, and has given you some tangible ideas about how to infuse it into your curriculum. Thank you to the California Department of Education and the California Regional Environmental Education Community Project for funding this video. Technical production of this video is performed by the Sacramento County Office of Education's Internet and Media Services Department.